lovelies, it's Kaya. It occurred to me that I haven't actually done a proper video about all of my piercings and tattoos and such since I started doing this channel like as a real thing. I think I had an old video about my piercings because I don't think I even had any tattoos at the time. Back like way before I really did YouTube, and I just made a couple of like really bad webcam videos and uploaded them. And that's private now, so I thought I would just make a real one and kind of go through it. So I'm going to be talking about the piercings I have, the piercings I used to have that are gone now, my tattoos, and how much all of them personally hurt for me. If you're interested in that because you want to get it done yourself, it's a rough guideline, but at the end of the day, everyone's body reacts differently to pain, everyone's nerve endings are kind of different. So it might not be the same experience for you, but I'll help where I can anyway. So starting off super basic, I got my ears pierced whenever I was not a baby, because I do have memories of it, but like a young toddler. My dad took me to get it done, my mum went absolutely ballistic, and whenever I first started getting other piercings, that was like my bargaining tool with her. Like, she didn't want me to get piercings in case my dad would get angry, and I was like, do you remember whenever I was a baby and he took me to get my ears pierced without telling you? And that actually got me a few piercings. So that was all very fun. But yeah, so those were done whenever I was super young. I didn't wear earrings in them for years because as a kid I could not put up with having any sort of jewellery. It just drove me crazy. It's a miracle they stayed open, because then whenever I got into sort of my teens I started wearing jewellery in them again and eventually stretched them. So at the moment, this one is a 14. I'm trying to get that back up to a 16, the way it used to be. This at the minute is tiny because I keep losing the jewellery, and that's the problem. So this used to be like a 14, I think. I almost had this at 16, but then it closed down, and now I just need to get more stretch and stuff. I have it. It's lost somewhere at my house. So yeah, that needs re-stretched. But yeah, so I have those, and then I have like a couple of other ear piercings. I think like I let my ex-boyfriend do a couple, which is stupid, don't do that. And I think I got one done when I was like a kid at Claire's, which again is stupid, don't do that. Don't ever let anyone pierce you with a gun. But also, you know, I didn't know. So yeah, the ear piercings aren't all that interesting. Moving on to like proper piercings. So the first thing that I got was my septum. And I got that when I was 14, I think, at like 13, 14, I want to say 14. And my mum wouldn't let me get any face piercings, and I was like, you know, super annoyed as a kid. So I went and got my septum done, and the reason for that was because it can be hidden really easily. I shouldn't be giving you guys these tips, but like, it's what I did. I'm just telling my story, okay? The thing with septum piercing, so with this type of ring that I have it in the middle, obviously there's no way I can hide this, but if you get a horseshoe type ring, which I'll put like a little thing on there, you can actually flip that up inside your nose and no one will ever know. And I had that piercing for years and years and years until my mum found out. I think I'd already moved out of the house before my mum found out about my septum piercing, and it was only because like my ex's new girlfriend at the time, who like hated me, actually emailed her pictures of my septum piercing, which is the most ridiculous situation in the world. And like by that point it didn't matter anymore. I had like a face full of piercings and my mum was like, so? But yeah, so there was that. So yeah, the septum piercing, that is the only sort of, one of the only sort of like major piercings I ever let like a non-professional do, which I 100% don't recommend. You know, obviously I was super young and I didn't really know better, and I just really wanted a piercing, and I understand that, guys, but seriously, just don't go to someone who's not a qualified piercer because the risks are too high. It turned out fine for me, I had no problems, but I've had a lot of friends who weren't as lucky. So yeah, a guy who was like sort of a friend did this for me. I think he was in training and he had, you know, proper like sterilized needles and he had gloves and everything, but it wasn't in a sterile environment. He wasn't, you know, licensed, so it was a bad idea, but it turned out okay. So I got this done with all my friends standing around laughing and giggling and having a great time watching. And it didn't hurt too bad. It stung, like it was stingy, and it made my eyes water a lot. So like, you know, my eyes are kind of streamed, but it was just like a really stingy pinch. And then it wasn't too bad. It didn't hurt after that until just... One thing you'll find, guys, when you get new piercings, no one ever usually hits those parts of your body, but the day you get a piercing, everyone will somehow smack it. In the space of that day of getting my septum done, I had someone lean over to hug me and their bag that was on their shoulder swung around, whacked me right in the face. I had another friend of mine who was drunk go to hug me and he slipped on his skateboard and his shoulder went right into my face. Like, so yeah, but other than things like that, the pain was only really sore at the time and whenever I was flipping it up and down, but I kept it flipped up most of the time because I was at home most of the time. But yeah, it definitely wasn't too bad. I also had my Smiley done at one point, but I can't remember like in my piercing timeline when that was, but what that is just, it's up there. It's like a little frenulum, and my ex-boyfriend did that. Again, bad idea, but you know, young and silly. But I had that for a while, but then my mum saw it one day and like went nuts, and I was like, shit, so I took that out, and that was the end of that piercing. I never got it done again. I quite liked it, but you know, you don't really see it that much, so. Then I think next along the line was my nose piercing. So my mum said I could get that one done. And so I went to a proper piercer this time, who is still my piercer to this very day. Aside from the couple that I mentioned that were done by like friends or ex-boyfriends, he has done every single one of my piercings, and to be honest, I wouldn't go to anyone else. And anytime anyone asks me where to go, I always recommend him, because he's just like, I would say he's the best in Belfast personally. If you're in Belfast yourself, by the way, it's Other Side Piercing, and the piercer's name is Stu. He's the only one there, and yeah, he's just like amazing and just so good, so yeah, go to him. So yeah, I went to him and I got my nose done. I don't have that anymore. I accidentally let it close up. I am considering getting it redone, but I went in there to get my nose pierced and I thought, I've had my septum done. Nose will be nothing, the nose will be fine. So I went in, you know, all confident and stuff. To this day, I still consider that like probably my most painful piercing. I don't know why, but it hurt me so bad. I know a lot of people that it didn't hurt that badly for. I don't know if I just have a really thick nose or what, but like it hurt so bad, and the worst part was it's not one of those piercings where it hurts at the time and then it's over. Like I spent the whole day feeling like I'd been punched in the face. It was so painful. So I really want it redone. I'd actually kind of like both sides of my nose done. But I'm worried because my nose was actually broken as a kid and it's a bit crooked. And it's not super obvious, like most people I tell it about can't see it, but I can see it. But yeah, I know it's not that obvious, but I worry that if I got like, you know, a thing on either side of my nose, it would make that more like, you know, visible. So I don't know, and then also the pain. But yeah, so that was really sore for me. But like I said, everyone's different. You know, a lot of people it doesn't hurt at all for, but ouch, that was, I would rate that as my most painful piercing. I also got my belly button done at one point. I had it for quite a few years. I don't remember when I got it, but I had it for a long time. And the only reason that came out was because Jake and I were going to the gym a lot and doing Muay Thai, I think. I was going to say Taekwondo, it wasn't Taekwondo, but basically we were sparring a lot, and like, you know, like we tend to be rough with each other, and it was getting bashed around a lot. You know, it wasn't getting hit hard, but you know, just the jewellery kept getting bashed around on my belly, and it got really aggravated and started to reject because of that, which is a shame, so I had to take it out. I might get it redone eventually if I lose weight and stuff. Right now I don't really see a point, but I do miss it. It was really cute, but yeah, it had to be taken out, so hopefully I can get it in the future again. And then I think next was my Labret piercing, so that is the center lip one there. I just have a, what's called like a slave ring on there at the minute, so it's just a ball with a little dangly ring attached to it. And I remember I almost got this done whenever I was 13. And I remember specifically, like, I already really wanted it, but the thing that really spurred me on to like harass my mother for it was the Wednesday 13 I walked with a zombie video, and he had like a lip ring in, and I just thought it was like so cool. So I like bitched and whined and begged and moaned for weeks until my mum eventually gave in. So we got the whole way to the piercing studio. I think it was one that she got her piercings in at the time or something. We got there and I was with my friend and I was so excited. And we went up to get done, and of course, me being 13, the guy in the piercing studio was like, fuck no. Like, he absolutely flat out refused to do it. And also explained to my mother why he wouldn't do it. Obviously now I can understand that was like the right call for him, that was him being sensible, but as a 13-year-old who really wanted her lip pierced, I hated that guy. Like, I had a burning, just passionate hatred for this man who had like foiled my plans. So after that my mom was like, nope, and after that it was really hard to convince her to let me get any other piercings, so I was like, I hated him so much. But yeah, so I ended up getting this a while later, and it was not painful at all. Like, it was such a little pinch. Like, obviously it's not comfortable, of course it's a piercing, it's a needle going through your skin, it hurts, but it, like, in terms of general piercings, like, it was such like minor pain. It was just this little nip going through, a little nip with the jewellery, and that was it, done. It didn't really hurt after either. It was super easy. The only time I ever had issues was sort of when the swelling started to go down, and you know, it was around time to swap out the bar for a shorter one. I started like catching it on my teeth while I was eating, and I was like, ugh! So that's always like an unpleasant jolt, but again, not too bad at all. I would say this is probably my least painful piercing out of all of them. It was so easy. So after that, I think I got my microdermal. Picture there. It's a microdermal is like a little sort of implant type piercing, and the way it works is like there's this little sort of L-shaped disc typically that goes under the skin, which often has like little holes in it, and that's just popped under there, and then your sort of like fat and skin is able to grow around that little implant, and they usually stay for quite a long time if they're taken care of. I had mine for years and years and years with no problems at all, and then just one day it just kind of popped out. I don't really know what happened. I don't think I caught it on anything. It just, I guess it decided it was done. And it just popped on out. With microdermals you can technically get them like anywhere. There's a lot of places that's not recommended to get them because, you know, the area moves too much, or, you know, issues like that, or like your clothes might catch on it a lot, so they'll tell you not to. But a microdermal technically can be put anywhere at all. So the piercing I have there isn't like a special one or anything. It was just like a little microdermal I got roughly sort of, you know, where my underwear line is. Could not say that. A lot of people asked me if it was a Christina piercing when I posted pictures and stuff, and I was like, do you know how the human anatomy works? No. It's just a microdermal, nothing special. It was not a genital piercing. It was just, yeah, a little implant. The pain on that wasn't super bad either. It was like quite nippy getting it in, but as I say, on the sort of grand scheme of things, it definitely didn't hurt too bad. I found that quite easy. So after that, I would say I think I got my Medusa piercing, which is this one kind of in the middle at the top, if you can see. And that one, it was a lot more painful than the Labret. It still wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it was definitely more painful. I had a lot more swelling with it and stuff, so it was more uncomfortable. I think I had to have like longer bars swapped out a few times. It was definitely harder to heal and stuff. It was just more of a pain in the ass in general. It still wasn't super painful, but it did hurt, and it was like really annoying in the aftercare stages. It just kept puffing up. It was really just, oh. So after that, it would have been my Snakebites. So those are the little piercings here. It's just like a double side lip piercing essentially, but Snakebites is the sort of common name used. Same way Medusa is technically a philtrum piercing, but Medusa is like its common name, Labret and all the rest. The Snakebites, again, they hurt more than the Labret, but probably less than the Medusa. The issue I have with the Snakebites was I opted to get rings instead of studs, which was a mistake. So like a day or so after I got it pierced, like my lips swelled up really bad, like it started to puff up, and then the problem with that was the rings were obviously contracted around it, and my piercer has like a vice grip, seriously guys, like whenever he puts a piercing in, it's staying there essentially. So I couldn't actually get the rings out to relieve the swelling. Like no matter what I did, I could not get these rings out, and I was like, oh god. I was trying so hard, and then me, you know, tugging at them made my lips swell up even more, and it was so painful. So I think the day after or something, I finally managed to get into him. He switched them out for bars for me, and then they calmed down a lot. But yeah, I had one hell of a fat lip from that. So my advice to you guys is if you're getting your lips pierced, always just get pierced with bars initially. Even if you really want rings, it's just better safe than sorry. Just get the studs for a while, and then you can switch out to rings when it's healed, and you won't have the very painful fat lip situation that I had. And then I think after that I got, it's a piercing I don't have anymore, I got a little skin diver like here. A skin diver, it's kind of like a mini version of a microdermal, so it's much smaller, and the base, instead of being that sort of plate, is like a little sort of pointy base, if that makes it, there'll be pictures. It's like a little sort of pointy thing, and I love that. It was just like a little gem that I had there, and I thought it was super cute. But the problem was I just kept knocking it out. Like if I was like rubbing my eye, or my hair would get tangled in it. I think it came out like 5 times or something, and I kept having it put back in before I was eventually like, do you know what, it's not worth it. So it was really cute, but I'm just too clumsy of a person to have something like that, because it was just continuously coming out, and it was a pain in the ass. And then I think, have we gone through everything? I think after that then the only thing I have left I haven't spoken about is then my nipple piercings. So I got those. They definitely, like, those hurt. They're like up there, you know, like in competition with the nose for pain. They'd probably almost be more painful because there was 2 of them, but if I'm basing it on like how much it, you know, hurts to just get one piercing, they would just be below the nose, I think. So yeah, I got both of those pierced. It definitely really hurt. It was not a pleasant procedure, but it was over very quick. The thing I found with the nipple piercings is even though it really hurt, afterwards it didn't hurt anymore. Like once, you know, I was all done and the jewellery was in, my brow was on, no more pain. Whereas the nose, like I said, the whole day I was like, ow. So yeah, the nipple piercings like hurt like a bitch, but in my experience, once they're done, they're done. They don't hurt anymore unless you like smack them off something, or the likes of, if anything, sort of like if you're in the cold, for example, and they like, you know, harden up, then that might hurt a little bit just for them squeezing around the bars. Things like that, but yeah, generally they weren't too bad. So I think that's all my piercings. I really hope I didn't miss any out, so that would bring us on to tattoos. So the first tattoos I got were little sort of ghosty, Tim Burton-y looking bats, and I got those on my hips. I drew those up myself, so like all my tattoos, I've never taken a picture off of Google except for one, which I'll explain. I didn't steal someone else's tattoo or anything, don't worry. They've all been sort of like drawn myself or like pieced together from other things myself and all the rest. So these ones were completely drawn by hand and then neatened up on Photoshop. And like I said, they're just like little sort of ghosty bats, and I also thought they were really, really cute. Some people have said super rude things about them, but I don't care. I think they're adorable. Getting them done didn't hurt too bad at all. There's a video of me getting those actually on my channel. I think it's called Getting My First Tattoo or something. It shouldn't be hard to find. It was unpleasant, you know, again, it's a needle on your skin. It wasn't nice, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I went in terrified, absolutely terrified of getting this done, and it definitely wasn't bad at all. It was just like, you know, it felt like scratching almost, just like a really annoying scratching. So like it hurt, but it wasn't unbearable or anything, it wasn't too bad. Especially with them being solid black, that's going to hurt a lot less. Anything with a lot of shading, and especially light colours, hurts so much more because you're going over and over and over the same area. And also, I believe colours like white, the ink itself is a lot thicker than the black ink for whatever reason. I've had it explained to me before, and so then that hurts more going in and stuff, and it sucks. But plain black tattoos hurt a lot less. So after that, I didn't get anything for a really, really long time, and then, oh, by the way, right, so tattoos, in terms of like tattoo meanings and stuff, there's no like symbolic meaning behind any of my tattoos. The meaning they have to me is they're really like pretty designs that I personally really love. They don't like represent anything, and they don't have to. It's great if your tattoo has some like, you know, significant meaning, you know, some like story behind it. That's great, but it doesn't have to, and I feel like people make you feel like it needs to. It doesn't. So with my tattoos, I like the design and I got it. So the one on my wrist is my key, which I'll post a picture of because when I twist my wrist it looks all out of sync, but that one's the closest I have to having meaning. The key doesn't represent anything at all, I just like keys. But I got this whenever I was in the midst of that job. I really hated it. Anyone who's been on my channel a long time will know, and there is a video of me getting this done. So yeah, I was in like the midst of that job I really hated, and I was in the worst depression of my life. Like, it was such a bad feeling because like, if I wasn't like just horribly sad, then I just felt nothing. Like, it was this just numb ick, if that makes sense. And I just like, I wasn't experiencing anything. I wasn't like happy or excited about anything, or scared or like angry. There's just nothing. So I ended up actually just getting so frustrated that I went in and got this tattoo just to sort of like spur something on. You know, like the adrenaline from getting a new tattoo and like stuff, and you know, like it hurts and it's scary and you feel things. So that's kind of why I got that. But also I wanted it anyway. Like, I'd always wanted a key on my wrist, but I got it at that time. Like, I finally went fuck it and went and bought it because like I was like, do you know what, I just want to like, you know, feel the adrenaline. I want to feel something because it was so bad. But yeah, so that's the closest I have to have any sort of meaning behind it. But as I say, the key represents nothing. It's like, ooh, this was like the freedom from my depression. No, it's just, it's a key. I like keys. So the pain on this was quite bad. I think you can see in the video I'm making some unpleasant faces. I was like, ugh. Yeah, like this was pretty darn painful, especially when it got more sort of down to like, you know, towards the hand. That was really unpleasant. So yeah, I thought this was pretty damn bad. Thought, past tense. We're moving on to my thigh tattoos, guys. Oh, yes, there is. Okay, I'd forgotten about one of my tattoos, I'm sorry. So yeah, the tattoos on the back of my thighs came next. This is what I mean by Google image, because this isn't like, they weren't a like design. I wanted an exact replica of these moths. So they are Brahmin moths, and I just thought the design was so pretty and intricate and stuff, and I just really, really love moths in general, so I really wanted some tattooed. And there's this amazing tattoo artist here called Belly, and I think he's Hungarian? I'm not sure, but just the detail in his tattoos is ridiculous. He's doing Jake's Silent Hill tattoo as well, and just watching him work, I'm like, how? So yeah, like that was just crazy to watch, so I knew I wanted him to do my moths, and he did such a fantastic job. The pain, guys. Holy Jesus Christ. They're definitely the only time I've been getting a tattoo and actually thought, like, I'm never getting a tattoo again, this is too painful. Obviously, I don't think that now, but at the time I was like, I am never doing this again. This is the worst. I was just face down on the table, just like claw hands of just pain, and it was so bad. The first, like, I don't have any video of that unfortunately, because for a lot of it I was there on my own, which sucks, because it had to be done in 2 sessions and stuff. Especially like the first part and like all the little sort of black outlines and stuff, they didn't hurt too bad. The first time I went in I used like a numbing cream because I was afraid, because all the tattoo artists I told I wanted a tattoo on the back of my thighs, and I was like, what, why, you? Like, you know, so that scared me. So I used a numbing cream and it worked really well for the first while for all the black and stuff. I barely felt anything. There were sometimes I literally couldn't feel them touching my skin in the slightest. Always check with your tattoo artist though if it's okay if you use that, because some are funny about it and there's different laws and stuff, but yeah, so yeah, some of the time I couldn't even tell if he was touching my skin or not, and that was great. But then whenever I got into more of the shading and like the light colours, like the, you know, the light browns and the whites, oh my god, it was bad. And the next session I went in, I didn't use any numbing cream, I don't think. I just went in and got it done, and it was so painful. I don't want to put anyone off, but just be prepared guys, because it was so much worse than I ever thought. By far like the worst tattoo or piercing pain I've ever had. Wouldn't recommend it, but you know, if you really want a pretty piece of art on your thighs, that's what you gotta do. And then lastly, I have the tattoo on the front of my thigh that I somehow forgot. I got that most recently. I have a vlog of it, I forgot. I vlogged it, I never uploaded the vlog. Tell me if you guys still want to see that vlog now that it's like months later. Because I do have all the footage and everything, I just completely forgot about it, unfortunately, but it's all there. So yeah, the front of my thigh, this picture went fucking viral and like ended up all over every website without any credit to me whatsoever, and I was furious, but you know, that's how the internet works. And this was one that I designed up myself. So the way I did it was like I took different elements from different places and I put everything together on Photoshop, and I like hand drew on Photoshop some bits, like the beads and stuff took me so long to get right, like just, which is why like it bothers me whenever I see people commenting on that, like, oh, I'm gonna get this tattoo, and I'm like, no. Like, let me explain. Like, people seem to get confused and think that I think I own that quote, or I own tattoos in frames or something, and that is not the case. Like, loads of people have quote tattoos, loads of people have frame tattoos, loads of people have quotes in frames. Some people even have that quote in a frame, and that's all fine. I don't own that idea. It's whenever people want to literally take my exact tattoo to the piercer, like copy and paste, like put this on me. That's what bothers me. Like, tattoo stealing is super shitty. Like, take inspiration, that's fine, you know, like I said, like there's nothing wrong with that. But if you take someone's like exact design and like, you know, trace it onto someone else essentially, for one, any tattoo artist that's willing to do that for you is shady as fuck. Like, anyone who is happy to steal someone else's work, you should be wary of anyway, because like that's like a real lack of morals, and just no respectful tattoo artist I know would ever do that. So that's one thing. And it just sucks, like, for people who have, you know, worked on their own design to have someone else just rip it off. Like, especially if anyone has, like, I've seen one girl who had this really big elaborate chest piece and someone stole it exactly. I would be fucking furious, like I would be raging. So yeah, if you're getting a tattoo, it's fine to take inspiration, or like take a picture of your tattoo artist and be like, could you make me a design like this but different? You know, things like that are fine, but never copy someone else's tattoo. So the front of the thigh, that was not too bad at all. The pain was pretty standard. I think it was pretty close to like my hip pain, if that made sense. Maybe closer to the wrist pain when it got to like the inside, like softer bit of the thigh, you know, where it's like, you know, jigglier and softer and thinner. That hurt a little bit more, but overall it was very manageable. I don't know how many hours I was sitting for, but I have to say, for some reason, the after pain on this tattoo was the worst out of anything I've ever had. Like, I remember all of the rest being very easy afterwards to take care of, but this hurt so bad. Like, as the night went on after I got it, the pain got worse and worse and worse, and then like days later I was actually starting to worry that it was infected or something from how painful it was, and it was like bright red. I don't think it was infected, it ended up healing up okay, but for the first few days I could barely walk. It was so painful. I was like limping around, it was all swollen and red, and I was like, ow. But I didn't have any like weird sort of discharge and like no further issues, so I think it was just being a bastard for some reason. It just, like, it was really painful to heal, but not too bad to get done. Things like this are strange. And as I said, like, the reason behind it again is mostly because it's pretty, and also just because the quote really rings true with me, because people are always, you know, saying to me like, oh, why don't you just dress normal? Like, oh, if people are mean to you, then you should just be normal. Why can't you just be normal? And I'm like, this is normal for me. Fuck you. You know, it might not be normal for you, but it's normal for me. This is my normal. And that's what that quote represented. If you don't know what it is an Addams Family quote. A lot of people like to sort of like debate the quote and try to be like, no, normal is blah, and like, yeah, I'm like, okay, but it's a quote and I wanted the quote tattooed on me, so just fuck off. So that is everything, I think. I hope I remembered everything. Like I said, I forgot a tattoo halfway through this. I don't think I forgot any piercings, hopefully I didn't. But yeah, that is everything I've had done, a rundown of their pin and some little stories behind them and such. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the description what piercings and tattoos and stuff you have, or which ones you want to get, or any fun stories that you have, because I really love reading stuff from you guys. And if you're new to this channel, then don't forget to check out my other videos and maybe subscribe if you like them, because I would love to have you as part of the family. And if you didn't know, I also have a gaming channel, and me and my boyfriend do that together, and we play lots of different games, and it's super, super fun. You don't have to be a big gamer to enjoy it. It's pretty much, if you enjoy storytime videos, you'll enjoy my gaming channel. It's just us playing games and telling stories and making jokes, and it's really chill and fun. Except when we play fighting games, because I get really competitive and I scream. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this anyway. Also consider supporting me on Patreon if you can't already. Patreon is a website where you can tip your favourite creators, and it just makes their lives a little bit easier if this is what they do for a living, like me. Lots of other awesome people are on Patreon as well you can check out, but obviously you'll have to find them yourselves. My Patreon link is always in the description if you want to consider supporting me. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!